You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone. It was such a great show. So many wonderful, twisted little tales and stories. It made you rethink your perspective on things. It really made you challenge the way that we look at the world around us, because there's a lot of underlying themes and stuff as well. But just the twist of it all really was amazing. And one of the episodes I really liked was called "Kick the Can," and it was a conversation with these two older men in a nursing home, and one's talking about how it'd be nice if we could just go back out and play kick the can again, and the old grumpy friend of his there wants nothing to do with it, thinks it's all just silly, like let's not even waste our time talking, everything's misery and gloom and doom. And the cheerful fellow talks to some of the other members of the nursing home and decides that they're going to meet out and play kick the can. The old man wants nothing to do with it. The older man. They're all old men. It's a nursing home. Oh, and women too. Anyway. But it ends with everybody except for the grumpy guy becoming young again. They all become young kids again, playing kick the can out in front of the old nursing home, while the grumpy man just stares on, disbelief and anger. And I really think that two things here are important to always keep in mind. As I often discuss the idea of how important our perspective is on things, right? And believing that we can somehow alter our realities, which we can in many different ways. And the other one being how important it is to keep that inner child alive. I really believe that there's so much happiness in our youth, in our innocence. And one of I think the great crimes of modern time are that children are robbed of their innocence earlier and earlier ages, just subjected to the miseries and the worries of the world when it's not meant for them. They're meant to be children. Don't rush your kids to grow up. Anyway, that's a PSA for another day. Keeping that positive mindset that you've had as a child, looking around and seeing the world as something magical, because it truly is. Magic exists and it's around us all the time, every day, but we don't perceive it that way. We don't look for it. We explain it away. We have the negative attitude of the other gentleman that was featured in the show here. The idea that if we really perceive something in a different way, we can alter our realities. We become happier people. We can become like kids again. I remember being there and just sitting in my room. We had an apartment, had a shared bedroom with my family. And I remember during the day when Dad was at work and Mom was out in the kitchen, the living room, whatever, I could sit in my room and play with the toys that I had. And I had a little record player. I used to put Puff the Magic Dragon. I had the little Puff the Magic Dragon record in this little open box record player. I would play that. And even then, though, I was a thoughtful little fellow. I used to get upset and cry when listening to that. Somehow this is still a happy memory. But the whole idea of, when you get older, you lose that innocence. And man, this is, I don't plan a lot of these. So there's a lot of layers at work here. You're just watching it unfold, basically, just peeling back another one. But here I am telling you a story about how important the innocence of childhood is and the magic that goes with it. And one of my happiest memories is being a child and apparently playing that Puff the Magic Dragon record, which, if you're unfamiliar with the story, as this boy who has a dragon friend, imaginary friend, whatever the story may be. And, but as he grows older, he doesn't need the dragon anymore, and how the friendship kind of parts. And, or it's all about drugs, as other people say. I like this version better, so I'm going to stick with that. There's probably truth in both of them. But here I am now telling you this story, saying how important innocence is in child-like times. And then my story within a story is about being that child. And at that time, still understanding that at some point this was going to come to an end. And there was some sweet sorrow in that. We maybe can't go back to being physically maybe as youthful and as spry and things as we used to be. Look at me, I'm using words like spry. I'm getting older by the second. But maybe we can't physically become children again, but we can always keep our mind in a childlike state of wonder and magic. As we get older, the world gets smaller. As the world gets smaller, we learn more things. And as we learn all these things, we start to see the truth about a lot of scenarios that have played out throughout our lives. Looking back throughout history, it becomes clearer and clearer the older and wiser we all get. But we could choose to try to keep our mind also in a state where anything is possible. We can choose to not let that inner child die, but to satiate the thirst for mystery and for magic and happiness that we had when we were kids. That's something I try to still do every day. I try to do a little something for the little kid inside. That poor plucky little kid with the bowl cut. I'm glad we at least ditched that. But we haven't ditched our starry-eyed notions, and we're going to keep the innocence alive and keep that inner child alive, you know? Look at me, currently 45 years old, bright orange sunglasses, still wearing spiky hair, hanging out in a graveyard midday. I think the kid may be pretty proud of this. And then apparently go play the Dragon record and cry again. Stay young, my friends. Get out there and kick the can.